Could that just put him over the edge?
I'm not too sure. I don't think they did well.
He's a bully.
I'm just so sick and tired. I'm hanging on a wire, a foot over the fire, and it's burning. I can feel it inside. Done with the same cliche. Done with the day after day. There's got to be a way. Now is the time to break the tie. I'll live, I'll die for what is wrong and what is right. I'll take the pain for all the ones without a name. To be invincible, we'll be invincible.
They still have a lot of holes to fill.
We'll be
Every
He
time
didn't get fired. He didn't get fired. No, he didn't get fired. He never got his contract renewed.
Welcome, 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 everyone, to Two Guys in Hockey Talk. My name is Pawel the Cat with my wonderful co-host.
Hey guys, it's Evan Rev Reynolds back with you. A little bit of technical problems to start the show. So I just popped off Pawel, as you saw, and I'm just coming straight at you. So I don't got some of my information other than I'll share secondhand on my side here, but I do got my screens ready to go and hoping we're all good if I'm not lagging. If I'm lagging, man, it's because it's the very last episode of our season 5. What are you thinking, man? We have gone a long year.
It's a range of emotions. We've had some highs and lows this season. We've had some incredible guests. We've had some technical hiccups like you do. Hey, Kyle, good to see you and hear from you. And we've done a lot. We've covered a lot. There's been a lot of an NHL season. I want to get right into it because we got a very busy summer, a very, very busy offseason. And Evan, the 2024-2025 season, it's just around the corner. It's only a few days away, 85 to be exact. Are you pumped?
I'm going to say no. I think I was so exhausted. Like last week, I had no idea we'd go minutes short of 3 hours at the draft. I was like, oh, this will be about a 2-hour show, right? And I always forget
a long
that
show,
I always forget the first half of the draft takes 2 hours, that first little piece. And so I got to be honest with you guys. I ran out of my extra content because I had to make up while Pawel was on, he was using my extra content. And I had to carry him a bit. I think he was preoccupied with actually the draft was my idea, and he jumped on graciously, helped fill those hours. So at the very end, man, I was tired. I was sore from just on the podcast the whole time. You guys were sick of me. And then I think the free agent frenzy, which we're going to touch in on today, is really going to be crazy. And just so you guys know, Pawel and I have not planned anything out here, what we want to cover, what we want to talk. We're going to have different takes all the way through. But please, guys, jump on, share, make sure you get this out there. It's our last one of the year. The rest is going to be on our different places we go. You should have me on so you can get your picks right. Having picks right has nothing to do with it, dude. And you can't judge the picks just because in your brain you think you got it right, Jordan. You don't know how this thing works, do you? I will throw one thing because I know Jordan's listening, and I bugged him about it.
He told me privately, and I think he messaged in our this season when we had a few talks with like Jamie Daskal, that Michkov wouldn't stick around in Philadelphia, that he wouldn't want to be there. Well, Jordan, he's sticking around for a 3-year entry-level contract. So Michkov, he was saying he's not that good. Yakupov is better.
Oh man, yeah, there was like a lot of people kind of doubting on Demidov too.
Well, we appreciate you, Jordan.
Let me just say, Jordan, you may not like the placement of my picks, but last year and now this year, of my top 15 that I have career projected, last year 13 of the top 15 were in my picks. This year, 13 of the top 15 are in my picks, buddy. It happens every year, 12 to 13. They're there.
He's pushing back with the bang on with the Cutter Gauthier. Yeah, well, sometimes
What's he pushing back with? What was he right on?
That Cutter Gauthier wouldn't stay with Philadelphia, that he's going to leave. He didn't want to stay. And that's fine.
No,
he's what? 1 for 1. That's okay. Hey, 1 for 1.
When we agree that Philly is a tough grit town, you got to have you got to have iron balls to play there and work there. And we know Cutter ain't cut out for that.
Yeah. All I'm going to say to Jordan is beard. Beard.
Oh, man. Okay, well, I did place. We don't have to put it on yet. Why don't we talk about the big names? Guys, just so you know, you're going to be coming in. If we see that you got some comments, we will jump back over to some players to be able to engage with you. However, we're not going to break it down team by team by team, because if we do that, then we're in the middle of something. You got to wait for a while. So we're going to do a lot of in and outs all over the place. I have a lot of the lessers as not many people talk about. I have 4 different pages that I put up there we can be able to show a little later for some cues for us. But why don't we talk about some of the bigger free agent signings? And by doing that, why don't we talk about some more of the bigger shocks that happened this day? So why don't you start us off, man? Give us our first.
I will. I just want to let you know you're still coming in a little patchy and you're a little quiet. You're a little quiet.
You get this started, and then let me do this.
Sure.
You
just want to make sure people hear everything you're right about.
Okay. Am I cutting in and out, lagging?
Yeah, the lagging's not as bad, but it's the quietness. Yeah. You're very quiet.
Okay. I am going to unplug these phones, but I'm going to go out and come back in, okay? And you get started. Go ahead.
All right. Well, so we've had a big, crazy free agency, and the big fish that went was Steven Stamkos. Steven Stamkos has left the Tampa Bay Lightning as their captain, as their 2-time Stanley Cup champion, as a leader on and off the ice for Tampa Bay, and has gone over to Nashville for 4 years at $8 million. For all of you Nashville fans, let me know, do you like this? Is it an overpay? Do you think your team got better? And for Tampa Bay fans, I know you got Jake Gensel, but what are your thoughts on losing this captain? And you guys traded away Mikhail Sergachev, a big loss on that back end, even though I know he was a little bit injured last year with the knee. And you re-signed Victor Hedman. Victor Hedman, he comes in also 4x8, right? They also trade Tanner Jeannot. Tanner Jeannot goes to the LA Kings. I know they wanted him for a bit. They were looking at him. Your thoughts on this trade? Because those were some big moves. Now, Nashville also went and got some other big fish. They got Brady Shea, a little bit of an overpayment, but they believed on the back end they needed someone to help out Roman Josi so that he wouldn't have to eat up as many minutes, right? Their captain really is an important factor. But Brady Shea, very important guy for the Carolina Hurricanes, now is a Nashville Predator. Jordan says Tampa screwed themselves. I don't know. I think they're trying to get younger. It's an interesting take that they're doing, so we'll see what happens. But I really believe that they're making some interesting moves, right? And clearly loyalty means nothing for the Tampa Bay Lightning, just like Vegas. We saw that Jonathan Marchessault also left for Nashville, also got a big contract. However, there were rumblings that there was something offered. It just wasn't necessarily the thing that Jonathan Marchessault, who was the Conn Smythe winner last year, wanted. So who got better? Who got worse? Well, it's easy to pick winners and losers right now, but I think Nashville really went out and caught a lot of the big fish and really wanted to make an improvement on the fly. Now, they also signed up UC Saros, 7 by 7.75. They've got their goalie locked up. What happens to Askarov? I know he was of interest to a lot of teams who are looking for a young up-and-coming goalie, first-round draft pick a few years back. Will he be traded? I know Barry Trotz was asking for a top first round pick in the top 10. Wasn't being offered at the draft. Will something happen over the summer where they move him? Who knows? We know that UC Saros himself over-marinated in the farm system for Nashville for a while. And as soon as he was ready to come up, he was able to take over and play under Pekka Rinne. Pekka Rinne was retired, and UC Saros was able to take over the reins as the number 1 goalie for Nashville. So what happens now with Nashville? Are they more competitive? Can they compete in the Western Conference, the Central? Can they beat the Colorados, the Dallas? We shall wait and see. But let me know your predictions, guys, because it will be interesting to see what happens with the Nashville Predators. The other big name, the buyout, Jeff Skinner, over 1,000 games played, decided that he wanted to take his talents to the Edmonton Oilers. That was a big fish that Jeff Jackson, who's not really a GM of the team, was able to sign for a 1-year, $3 million contract. And so you think to yourself, what does he bring? Well, he brings speed. He brings tenacity. He's a pure goal scorer. Now, he wasn't worth his contract, Evan, but he could still bring it. Whether he's playing with McDavid or Draisaitl, Jeff Skinner has an opportunity for the first time in his career to potentially go to the Stanley Cup, because Edmonton looks like they want to go back and potentially repeat, but also win the cup, right? Get back to the Stanley Cup final. So there's definitely interest there. But your thoughts on Steven Stamkos first going over to Nashville and what Nashville did, even with Brady Shea, with Jonathan Marchessault, with Askarov potentially being on the market, and then with Jeff Skinner for Edmonton, what that means.
Yeah, so interesting enough, with Askarov, you have this great goalie, you drafted high, but you know what? New leadership, things change. That's part of the norm. I was rather shocked at the aggressiveness of Barry Trotz. I did not expect Trotz to push. However, it was being said about 3-4 days earlier. Darren Dreger of the Insiders actually talked about how 80% of the signings were already decided in advance. What was it? $1.2 billion in
first time in the history,
record breaking. What was it? Sorry.
Over $1 billion for the first time in the history of
over
free
$1 billion.
agents.
Yeah, I know it was at least 1.2 billion. I last read on tsn.ca. So anyway, I was shocked that Stamkos. He obviously has won his cup. There's no way. And I get it. They think they can be competitive, and anybody has a chance. But I'm just still shocked that they actually took that chance and they went with it. Like I'm talking about the Stamkoses, because he could have pretty much picked anywhere. However, good job on him at finding a place to give him $8 million. Yep. $8 million. The only other option was if he stayed in Tampa, took the $3 million and did something in bonuses. But the problem they still had is cap. They weren't going to move out that cap. They got younger at the same time. We'll talk about that later. So Stamkos going to the place, I think this was about one good payday, and he had a promise that they were going to be competitive. And you know, they did well. They really did well. They made some big moves. They're telling us that they're not worrying about drafting now. They're just worried about developing and trading and signing free agents. They want to make a push.
Excellent. Ray's tuning in. Hey, Ray, we're going to get to your Devils in just a bit.
Yeah.
Hear your thoughts on how they did with Brett Pesce and some of the other signings. They got rid of Akira Schmid, who just signed today with the Vegas Golden Knights. But, Evan, your thoughts on Jeff Skinner going to Edmonton? And rumors that Toronto was also making a push for him. And the talks were, you get to play with Marner and Matthews, and he chose McDavid and Draisaitl. What does that mean?
Yeah, well, I think the Skinner piece, if you heard the interview, one of the interviews that Skinner talked about, Skinner was excited because the Oilers were already after him from the moment they were able to open the phones. Not everybody does that. He says they sometimes trace back. So while he had other offers, there were bigger offers by the sounds of it. However, this was about a chance. I think this is a reclamation. I don't see them being able to sign him to another year. I expect he's going to get 30 to 40 goals this year, probably score around 55 to 65 points minimum. That's a bad season. He's going to be playing with these guys, but he is a finisher. Don't be misled, guys. That guy's a finisher, and he can also power play on the other side on your power play units. He is the other guy. That guy learned figure skating before he ever learned regular power skating on ice. So that's a perfect fit, only because of the McDavid Draisaitl effect. The team winning, coming within a. You're going to have people now wanting to sign regardless. They got all the goals.
Yeah. Now, I will ask you, because Jeff Skinner never played in the Stanley Cup playoffs, right? Over 1,000 games, I think 1,009, which is insane to believe. One of the longest players in the NHL that's active that hasn't played in the postseason. You also have Corey Perry, who's been to 5 finals now. something's got to give here, right? Will the Oilers make the playoffs, or will they make the finals again and lose with Corey Perry and Jeff Skinner on their lineup?
I'm calling it. They're back in the finals next year. They have placed themselves well for it. I can't see why not. And unless, there is, like you talked about it last week, there is luck with this. And so these guys are going to need some good health all the way through and not let anything get in their heads. But there's not a lot of teams that got stronger this year. Dallas is going to be about where they were before.
Well, they lost Hakanpää, who, interestingly enough, has a knee issue and could potentially never play again, according to some people. So we'll get to that in a sec. But they lose Chris Tanev, right? And they have some young guys coming up that need to be re-signed. So there's definitely going to be...
Hakanpää didn't play in the playoffs, so the missing piece will be... I think they'll pick another piece up by deadline, is my guess, if they're doing well. But
yeah, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on anyone else in the West and any other big names that went, such as a Brandon Montour with Seattle, because I want to get to Seattle with one other story, but go ahead. Your thoughts on Brandon Montour.
So Montour actually going from getting himself from Florida, he got his cup with, like, literally he does a parade, and the guy's now signing a 7 years, $7 million, I believe, somewhere around that line. With the Kraken. Great pickup for the Kraken. They have a solid defense. They're only going to get stronger now as they work their way and build out. So I'm really interested to see what's going to happen now over the course of this year and next year with Ron Francis, because that I think that's a beauty move, but I am a little worried on that contract for a big, tough guy like that. How far? But you know what? 4 years, you can find ways to unload contracts.
That's fair.
So what's your take? Let me give you a player. Let's take you over to Vancouver. Were you surprised at DeBrusk signing over in Vancouver?
Yes, I was surprised with the amount that he was given. I know Calgary was in on him. I know there were some talks with Edmonton. I know he wanted to come back out west. He's a local boy. His dad, Louis, does the broadcast. I was interested. It does bolster that team up a bit more. The thing with DeBrusk is that he's not a regular season performer. He's very streaky. Right. But he's an excellent playoff performer. You know who he's like? He's like a Sam Bennett, Evan. He's tough. He's nasty. He's tenacious. Any Toronto fan will tell you they can't stand him. They're upset with how he always was able to put up the big points during the postseason versus Toronto. However, in the regular season, it's up and down for him. And I know that, he had the trade request. He rescinded it after Bruce Cassidy left for Vegas. He tried to feel it out, see how it goes. He's kind of gone up and down the lineup. I think it's a little much for both term and length, but I can understand why.
I believe, was it 5 years at 5.5? I don't have the numbers.
7 years by 5.5.
Okay. Yeah.
And Jordan says it's great, but a slight overpay. I think so too. I think it's just a little much, too rich. But I understand Vancouver. Vancouver's trying to stay competitive. You lose Zadorov and you lose Lindholm to Boston. You want to stay competitive. Now, they had their centers. They re-signed Dakota Joshua. They bring in Vinny Desharnais, who's going to shore up that bottom pairing. But really, I think the big one, and they lose Casey DeSmith, who I thought they'd bring in again because they talked about it. But then, of course,
are you gonna when you got Seelovs? I mean, the Canuck fans are talking like Seelovs is a third stringer. Just because you had someone else in place, that guy is incredible. Like, to me, I don't think you can't have Seelovs run your playoffs.
That's not the concern.
Play like you did and not have him as your backup.
The concern is the fact that you need 3 goalies in the regular season nowadays in order to be competitive.
They get another
the fact that both Demko and Casey DeSmith went down in the postseason and they had to start Seelovs shows you the importance of depth at any level and at any position. It's not about the fact that he's not ready. It's why I was interested, and I understand why Calgary did it, trading Markstrom over to New Jersey. So, Ray, you can let us know if you like that idea, if it was smart, it was good, given that you didn't give up much. But I wonder, why not have 3 goalies? Now, if you look at, for example, Steve Yzerman in Detroit, they have like 6 goalies right now, right there in their system, because they're letting Sebastian Cossa, former Edmonton Oil Kings goaltender and winner there, marinate in Grand Rapids. You got Cam Talbot coming in. You got Jack Campbell for 1 year show me deal, right? You still, I believe, have Ville Husso, right? So you have quite a few goalies because, like Detroit faced last year, a lot of the goalies went down. An injury can really derail your season, and you live by your goalie and you die by your goalie. So really,
okay, yeah, no, you're right. They got Ville Husso for this year. They got Alex Lyon for one more year. So Husso's 4.75.
Yeah.
We got Lyon. They'll bury him in the minors as that third at 900. And they got Jack Campbell, which they can bury in the minors, or he plays well out of camp as the backup. And then they have Cam Talbot for this year and next. So really looking at it, I think they're running with Husso and Talbot. Yes. And they're going to bury the contracts of Lyon and Campbell in their farm system based on, but there's going to put a challenge out there. But you almost wonder if they're going to, Yzerman likes holding on to goalies to see if he can get something for him later on. That's one thing about Yzerman, with it. So, hey, I don't think, let's just go back to a moment here. I don't think the Desharnais is a bad pickup for them. In fact, I think that's a perfect replacement at a low price, only on a 2-year, to replace Zadorov. He's big, he's tough, he learned a lot. He played in the playoffs this year. Frankly, I know people had a love affair with Zadorov, but Zadorov, there's a lot of issues with the way he plays and teammates is kind of what a lot of people are saying off on the sides. I don't know what that means, but I can tell you that the money he got, I don't know, like, hey, Kyle, if you're on and you're reading some of this stuff, I'd be curious what you're thinking. So, but I think that was a good move for Vancouver. That's a plus.
I agree. Now, Jordan says Lyon will get picked off waivers. It's possible. I mean, he's the one that saved the Florida Cat season last year, so he definitely has an opportunity to be taken off. And Ray
when they send him early, though, there's so many of them, right? That he may not.
We'll see. Then Ray says when you take the Devils' whole offseason into account, it's hard not to love the Markstrom trade now. While it's not long-term solution, the team is built to win now, 100%. And so you bring in Brett Pesce, who signs a pretty solid deal as a defensive defenseman for them for 6 years. Bolsters that back end. I mean, Dougie Hamilton, another former player from the Carolina Hurricanes. Of course, he was injured last year for the majority of the season, so that really impacted them. But Brett Pesce, signing on for 5.5, that's a good deal. He's 29 years old. Had 3 goals and 13 points in 70 games last season. He did have an ankle injury, but he can really play and contribute. I like what New Jersey did. They got rid of John Marino, of course, who went over to Utah, which I want to get into Utah in just a sec.
Yeah, that was a cap issue.
Yeah, but I really think that New Jersey potentially will be competing in that division in Metro, given what is there.
They also have Brendan Dillon they picked up.
Yes, which he's a little overpayment, but he serves
$4 million. He probably should have been free, right?
So
I
like New Jersey. I think they really bolstered it up. You have Luke Hughes coming into his third year.
Let's look at this. Say I'm just looking at the players that they got running. Okay, so say you run Curtis McDermott with Pesce, Brendan Dillon with Hughes, and Simon Sinek. Going to have someone play the right side, maybe with Jonas Zieglander. I can't say his name proper.
Jonas
Siegenthaler, which I wouldn't. I'd actually run one of the other guys. So I'm really worried about that bottom line pairing. That's where I'm a little bit. I feel like they got 2 really good young guys.
It's a wild card team.
Yeah, I think they're going to need to pick up by the deadline here this year.
However, they also have Jake Allen for 1 more year, and that should bolster their back end and goaltending.
So I guess the question is, does anyone know where the situation is with Dougie Hamilton? Because he's still on long-term injured reserve.
My understanding is he's coming back.
What's that?
My understanding is he's coming back for the new season.
Okay. So Cap Friendly still has him off. They do not have him put back on yet. So maybe that's just because of the summer months. So hopefully he'll come back for them.
So John asks about with certain moves and contracts, do you think the Hurricanes still need some help on the second line? I agree. I really think, they lost Timo Teravainen, who went over to Chicago. And I want to say Chicago did well. They're still going to be bottom 10, but they really bolstered their things. But I really think that Carolina needs to do a little bit more work. They did re-up Jacob Slavin, one of the best defensive defensemen in the league, very underrated, one would say.
I think everyone says he's great, but that's me.
You know what it is? He barely takes any penalty minutes, and for a defenseman, that's pretty rare, right? Because you often get caught cheating. But he knows how to play the game very. That's why he gets nominated often for the Lady Byng Award.
They do looking just like through. I mean, I'm looking at the age of their players. Orlov at 32, Jacob Slavin at 30, Brent Burns at 39. Sean Walker they picked up. That was good. So that gives them a good top 4 there. At 29, 31, they brought back the Ghost with Shane Ghost there. And then they got some guys developing younger. So that's not a bad age. I'm just saying it's a very experienced age that they're just looking for a solid backing there. And then hoping, obviously, Anderson has a good year moving back here, right? And,
I worry about that back end. But the thing is are you relying on Kuznetsov to be your second line center, right? Because he has one more year, show me deal. It'll be interesting what takes place there. But, can Kotkaniemi finally take that step and be a second line center? Or is he going to relegate back to the third line, if not fourth line? So it'll be interesting to see. Now, John also asks about Tarasenko leaving Florida and joining the Red Wings. I like the move, a veteran move for Detroit. I thought he would go somewhere else. My understanding is that Pittsburgh, I think, made a push for him.
They were making a push.
But clearly he wanted to go somewhere there. He's got 2 cups now. I don't know if we talk about Hall of Fame. The guy used to be able to score 50 goals like nothing, but ever since that shoulder injury, he's just struggled. But, I mean, he's got his 2 cups, Evan. He's going to go look for a third.
But they got to get away from this. I got a cup of him in that. We'll talk about that next year.
Oh, yeah. I'm saying if he wins a third one, would that consider him into the Hall of Fame? But I like to
only if he's like the first one, he was a big part. The second one, he was just an extra role player, right? He was like that third line role player. And then he would be the same again. I'm looking at their forwards. Okay, let's look at their top 9. You got Dylan Larkin. You got Alex DeBrincat. You got, let's just top 9. Okay, JT Compher. You got Patrick Kane back. You got Vladimir Tarasenko. You got Lucas Raymond in there. And I guess you could put Andrew Kopp. So you're kind of looking at a 7, not a 9. They're not as deep as some people think. But on their defense, they got Ben Sherratt, Justin Hall. Oli Mata's kind of like bottom line. So is Jeff Petrie now. Eric Gustafson's always been a fill. William Legason and Cedar. Maurice Sider is going to be probably.
Well, he's got to get paid, and Lucas Raymond's got to get paid. They're coming up on here, so they're looking for their big payday.
RFA. Yeah, and what are they sitting at right now? So in their cap, they got $20 million in cap space right now. That's not an issue.
John asks, I'm going to ask you a question. So John asks, love to see him go to the Pens to talk about Tarasenko, but they're looking for younger guys mode, especially now after what they went through the last 8 years. I agree. And because with Sidney Crosby still playing at the elite level that he does, you want to be able to compete for the Stanley Cup, right? So,
right. Hey, I get it. So, hey, I didn't catch it. Did Ray have any comments then around the team?
Not since that one when you said about the bill to win now with the Markstrom trade. That was it.
Fair, Ray.
Now, I know it's too early to predict and it's wild and there's still a few things that can change. Evan, your thoughts on this Atlantic division? You've got Florida, who just won the Cup. You've got Toronto, Boston knocking at the door. You had Tampa Bay, who's only a few years removed from back-to-back Stanley Cups. You've got Detroit, Buffalo, Ottawa, all trying to compete again. And you have the Montreal Canadiens, who, they're still developing. Your thoughts on who could potentially knock them out? Do we count Boston out again, or do we say, what the heck, Boston, you're still in this, right? I've counted Boston out twice. I don't want to keep doing it.
That was my thing with the Canes. I kept counting them out, and they kept coming back in. And then I said, I've been counting out New Jersey. They can't make a turnaround. Then they made a turnaround. Then I said they're in, and then they were out. I have a hard time with the East around it. I will tell you that right now, when I'm looking, I don't count Boston out. But I'll tell you who I am pretty sure
they have a good shot to get to Game 7 of the second round this year, and that's Toronto. That defense is much better built this year. I like what I see. They're a little weaker up front now, and there's role players around the top four. But I like Morgan. I'm looking on here, right? And you got Tanev can play with Riley now. You got Larson who can play with
Jake
Lindgren
McCabe
if you need to. Yeah. Simon Benoit.
He's a third liner. He's the bottom pairing guy who play with Timothy Liljegren.
Well, some of the guys aren't calling him a third liner anymore, though. He had a really good progressive year from a lot of the pro scouts. They were really impressed.
He did, but he only came in mid-season. Yeah. He hasn't had a full season yet. So I want to pump the brakes here a bit.
Now, so here's the thing. If Hakanpää can be healthy, they're going to do well. But that's a risk that they're taking right now. And that's why they got him for 1.5, right? Yeah. They always they tried that with Klingberg last year. He wasn't healthy still. And of course, so now he's signed elsewhere again.
He's not signed anywhere.
I feel this is the deepest the defense has been.
Klingberg's not signed anywhere. He's a UFA. He hasn't signed anywhere. He's not signed anywhere.
I thought I saw him signed. Okay.
No, he's not going anywhere. He's a UFA. He has not signed anywhere. Jordan also mentions, I think Buffalo and Detroit will be serious in the playoff race. I don't know about Buffalo. I struggle with Buffalo.
No, not this year.
I don't think so. Detroit definitely will be competitive, but they can't have another 8-game losing streak like they did this year in March, which really affected their chances. So, did you find Klingberg that he signed somewhere?
Yeah, no, I recognize. No.
You're welcome.
Well,
you guys heard it here first. The insider.
If you're all happy about being right about having 70 people on there, and you were wrong about 17 other names misspelling and call yourself right, you can go ahead.
I will.
If it makes you feel happy, I
will. It feels good to be right. So,
well, I guess it's good. I get it. When you're not as right as often as I am, I get it. You really want just joshing out. Well, all right.
I got to be honest with you. The big question with Toronto, and I know we've talked about it ad nauseum, is Marner. Now, any trade you have Marner losing, you're just not winning that trade. But the problem is, where are you replacing those 90-plus points, Evan? Where are you placing that penalty kill? He is very valuable to the team. And as I've stated, I think he's sticking around for one more year. And now there's even rumblings, now I could be wrong, of him extending with the Maple Leafs, which I think both them want us. I think the organization wants a break from him, but we'll see it. John says no one voting for the Ducks. Joking. I think Utah can turn into a team of supervillains like Vegas did. And Jordan is saying, so you're telling me there's a chance. So I want to get to, because we'll finish off with Toronto. So clearly you have to also make the postseason, and that's going to be a big F. Of course,
12 hours ago, by the way, there was a news outlet that kind of shared something they weren't supposed to. Looks like it might have been through a family friend. And that was only 12 hours ago that they do intend to see if they can sign him this year.
Who? Klingberg?
Marner.
Oh, yeah.
So,
everyone talked about trading him.
You know, this could be interesting with Marner. I got to tell you, I get frustrated with fans watching them because a fan, like right now, this is what's happening because of Evander Kane's situation and his health. So the guy is a hero. Like there's people, you're an idiot, you're an abuser, you're all this stuff. You suck, you're this, you're a fraud. And then he comes in and he starts playing and he's an animal. He comes in the playoffs. He is the next angel of the Oilers. He's maybe not a god, but he's the next thing to it. And then he goes into the next year, and how great is he? But then he has the risk, and everyone feels bad, so we give him a break, and then go in the offseason. It's too bad. This year was a struggle. He had a lot of injuries that he was dealing with, including still coming back. And now everyone's freaking out because they're a few million over the cap. They're going to settle it. Everybody has something over the cap of the better teams that are contending. And now they want to get rid of him, and he's not ever going to recover, and he's never going to do this. Jeff Skinner, he's no good anymore. He's washed up. He made $10 million a year, and you can't score 30 goals and 55 points for $10 million a year. They buy him out. They can clear cap, do something else. By the way, do you see who they signed? Who did they sign in Buffalo?
Oh, in Buffalo?
Buffalo sign up front. Do you have a number there?
Oh, I have to take a look off the top of my head.
Let's just see. Buffalo Sabres.
I will tell you right now who they signed.
I'm just pulling up my numbers.
Was it Jason Zucker for $5
That's
million?
it. Look at how much money he's making.
Yeah.
$5 million. So you are serious. How many years do you have in front of you? How many years?
What do you mean? For
Jason
Zucker? Just 1 year.
Okay, they signed him to 1 year. So they're holding through, and maybe that was why. But why don't you hold on one more year to Jeff that brings Jason? Jason is not going to fill that role for you.
I got to be honest. I don't see Buffalo as a playoff team. I'm sorry to say.
I don't at all. I do not at all. Right now, these guys were on their way through a nice rebuild. They've they're the ones that originally had Allmark, by the way, coming back to the days.
Evan, they had Allmark. They had Montour. They had Sam Reinhart.
Yeah. Jack Eichel.
They had Kyle Poser as their captain.
Jack Eichel, in all fairness, he pushed his way out because they wouldn't do what he
asked.
And in the end, this just goes to prove maybe they should have listened to Jack a little bit and let him decide how he wants his future back to look like, not them.
So Buffalo has, according to Jordan, $18 million in cap space, and John says, "Heck, I had Senators going further because it's Buffalo."
Yeah,
I just beyond like. Their goaltending is questionable. Their back end, I get it. They can score goals, but they let in a lot of goals. What are you doing? You just fired – did they fire their coach, John Granato? I'm pretty sure he's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lindy Ruff is in. So
Ruff came back
tell you if you like Lindy Ruff or not, if that's a good fit. Sorry, Lindy. Fire Lindy. I don't know if Buffalo's making the playoffs in that deep, deep Atlantic division, but that's just my prediction. Now, I want to quickly get to Utah. They're a team that has yet to play their first game on the ice. They went big fish hunting, right, Evan? They got a lot done. They got Sergachev from the Tampa Bay Lightning. Excellent pickup. I thought that was really good. They got John Marino from
excellent pickup from New Jersey.
Yeah, from New Jersey.
He's a free agent.
You sign Ian Cole, not the best, but he struggled in the Oilers Vancouver series, but he can still be a serviceable player. You re-sign Sean Dursey, who can play both sides, to $6 million contract. You still have Kesselring and Juuso Välimäki, some bottom-pairing guys. And, you still have a good foundation of a lot of prospects, a lot of young guys coming into the league. You re-sign Lawson Krause into this team. I feel like Utah is going to be very competitive. Now, there's a lot of pressure, but I also think it's not as much as a Seattle. Seattle has a lot of pressure. Now they did also. Go ahead.
What I would say though, if you got asking you, do you honestly believe they have a good top six or even a number one line? I feel like they got a lot of guys between 3 and 9.
Yeah.
So they're solid in that top 7, but they're all none of those guys. Maybe Clayton Keller maybe is up there. Schmaltz is good, but not there. You got to Lawson Krause is a third.
Yeah, Logan Cooley is only coming into his second year. He's got some time, and he could regress. It'll be interesting to see what happens. Now, Jordan asked about Buffalo with the new coach and amazing prospects coming through. They have one of the best players in the AHL last season in Kulik. Look what happened to Stankovic in Dallas. Agreed, but we'll have to see what these guys perform at the NHL level. And John asks, do you think that they should move on from Turney as a head coach? I think he's done a good job overall with Arizona at the time, now Utah. I wasn't a fan of some of the choices he makes for Team Canada while the postseason. I thought there were some questionable calls with Tavares and Pierre-Luc Dubois and stuff.
And Bedard.
And some of the choices he made there. So, I feel like he may get the most in terms of development. But I wonder, Evan, if a Todd Nelson is someone that Utah looks at bringing in as an assistant coach to promise to become a head coach next year. Because coach's life line is what now? 3 years. Oh my goodness! They are moving these guys out like they're just flapjacks at your local IHOP. Yeah. I feel bad because as coaches, even Chris Knobloch, Double K as he's known around the Oilers now. One of the things that he talks about is he feels that coaches get too much credit for doing well and not enough, and they get too much of the bad press when they're not doing. I had a guy that was on X with me here today
trying to tell me, oh, like I'll just give an example. He's all about the Oilers, that how bad they're going to be because it's all about the systems. The systems help them win. And I'm like, you do realize that systems are only as good as the players. You need players to buy into the system and to work it. You can have bad players and the system doesn't work. And like if you've ever played above beer league or bowl hockey, you get coached competitively, you will know that systems are important, but players can be better than the systems and they can make coaches look good. That's the downside. And for Edmonton for years, that was a part of the problem. They kept changing systems and this and that, but their players couldn't execute the systems. You got to get the system that the players can execute, bottom line.
Yeah. Jordan says, I think the best coach available is Gardner McDougall. He went 43-0 with his teams last season. And John talks about Alex Turney, that his last 3 seasons are 36-41, 28-40, 25-50 in the last 3 years, each year got worse. Again, I'm not saying he's the best coach. I think he's done what he can to develop a lot of these young guys, but I don't know if there's something else.
I don't see anything in there.
My issue with Utah/Arizona, and it's going to take a while, just like Twitter/X, is their goaltending. I don't think Connor Ingram and Carl Volmeka are a good tandem to take you to the promised land.
So let's go back. We didn't get the chance to talk around the Sens. Someone was talking about the Senators.
Yeah, John was. Yeah, he said he got Ottawa ahead of the Buffalo Sabres.
Yeah. I don't know. They're pretty neck and neck to me within 5-6 points year end. I was one that did not believe in the Senators last year being able to make a run. They were not strong enough in goal. They were not deep enough on defense, and they did not have deep enough forwards. They do have some elite talent up front. Definitely they can have. I know Sens fans want to feel they got better high-end talent up front than the Leafs, but I would disagree. And then even on the back end, listen, they got Jake Sanderson, who is developing. I get it, but he is not an $8 million player yet. Thomas Chabot, he's still coming back. That injury that really kind of kicked him back a bit. He was excelling. Zook, good guy. Nick Jensen, and okay, let's talk about this. The trade. Chikrin.
Yeah.
What the heck? You're bringing in a guy that's essentially just plays a little tougher just to get that 1 year out of this guy to be able to play, and everything you gave up to get Chikrin and what you got back in place. I know it's not the same GM. Staios didn't make that original, or did he? No, Staios didn't make that deal.
Yes, he did. Yeah. Staios just made that deal recently.
No. Staios didn't make the deal to bring Chikrin in.
Oh, no. That was Pierre Dorian. Yeah.
But I can't see, like, I know everyone is all over pro Staios and stuff. He's going to make a lot of mistakes, I think, right now as a new GM. He'll get forgiven. But I like their move for depth, like Noah Gregor. That was great. Riley Gregg staying there.
But they have a lot of these young guys who are just kind of,
David Braun. But honestly, who they have, Tim Stutzel and Brady Tkachuk, there is your center and your left wing on the top line. And they're filling it in with, say, Claude Giroux. You got your top line.
I still don't think Ottawa. I don't think Ottawa makes the playoffs. I'm sorry to say. And Jordan talks about it. They're super mid. They fixed their goaltending. I agree, but that's Norris, and it's a huge overpay. You know what we're going to talk about in a month's time?
Sorry.
You know what we're going to talk about in a month's time with Ottawa once the season starts? Is Ullmark really that good of a goalie, or is it a Boston system?
Yep, I agree. I think that because he was in Buffalo and people weren't talking the same. But you know what? I will say it is true. I do think the Boston system of play helps the goalies there. So be careful, buyer beware when you're getting players out of a system. So for example, New Jersey, by them picking up Markstrom, I'm sorry, Calgary doesn't, they have good moments, but their defensive structure doesn't make their goalie look good. So Markstrom coming out is going to feel perfectly comfortable in the system out there in New Jersey. And I think he'll fit in really well, and he'll probably have a career year.
Agreed. Now, we're going to keep talking about this, but I have one thing to bring up for Around the Rink. Around the Rink is brought to you by Penny Billionaires, that duo Arizona rock band that you heard at the beginning with that great song Invincible. That's Penny Billionaires. Go check them out wherever you get your music. Amazon, Spotify, wherever else. All right, Evan, I love history. I love being a history buff. And today, Seattle made history by hiring the first assistant woman coach in the NHL, Jessica Campbell. Props to her for being hired on. Props to the organization. She was also the first female hire for their AHL affiliate, Coachella Firebirds, where she was the first woman behind the bench. I love it. This is great. And I hope this opens doors for many more women in the game, in the NHL, not only behind the bench, but also on the ice as referees and in management that we've seen.
And that's excellent. Excellent. So one of the things that, we talked about, I don't know, about 4 weeks, maybe 5 weeks back, that I said, hey, wait, she will be behind the bench. And I also predicted she will be the first NHL head coach. She is that good. I mean, she's going to have to probably put in anywhere from 3 to 5 years. But I expect maybe travel one more team. But I can see a team taking a chance on her because all you got to do is get the buy-in from the players. I am interested to see what responsibility she takes because I didn't follow Coachella.
Power play specialist, penalty kill specialist, right?
Okay. She was a penalty kill.
I don't know. I'm wondering what she's going to bring.
I thought you read that. Sorry. Yeah. If you know anything about Coachella Valley, guys, or someone's got some stuff they found, let us know. Tell us what was her specialty in her coaching and in her background. So, but yeah, congratulations. It's so exciting to see history made.
Now, Evan, she has a tall task ahead of her. Not only does she have to take on coaching and mentoring Chandler Stevenson, who's a Stanley Cup winner and has signed a big contract at $6.3 million. You've got a young center coming through the rink who was promised a lot of potential. Shane Wright. What does Seattle do about Shane Wright? I know we talked about it a few episodes back, a few weeks ago. Your thoughts on Shane Wright, and is he going to be a full-timer here for the Seattle Dragon?
Yeah,
do you set up a line like New York Rangers did, where you have a Manny Beniers, Shane Wright, and maybe somebody else young come in and compete?
I actually think that they're going to run him on a third line and make him earn his way. It's kind of a Ronnie Francis thing, but they'll maybe give him second power play opportunity on that line. And Shane has it in him. I don't know what he did down in Coachella Valley, but Shane in the junior, he has it in him to be a good PKer. He does have a good awareness of the game. If he can, I don't know what his implosive speed is. I haven't followed him this last year as far as his improvements, but I would be very interested to see. And I think he's here to stay. He's not going to be going anywhere else this year. I just can't see them actually doing that. This is their opportunity to develop him now. And the guys that built him are there.
Yeah. This is the one I wanted to get to as well. John talks about a team that is making some sleeper moves is the Capitals, getting Jacob Chikrin, Dubois, who could be a comeback player of the year. They got Logan Thompson from Vegas as a backup goalie. They got Andrew Mangiapane, who I know wasn't going to resign in Calgary. Your thoughts on the Capitals and what they potentially could bring? Because to me, they are a wild card, not just in terms of being able to make the playoffs, but what they're going to bring. It's going to be an interesting season for the Cats. Your thoughts on their move so far?
Can we just say Ovechkin, give him 2 years. Guys, do not put the pressure on to get this goal scoring record.
Yeah.
He will get it. It will be 2, even if he signs, like for example, he's got his 2 years. Or has he got 3 years? No, he's got 2 years. Before he finishes his contract, he'll finish it. Look at last year. He was dealing with other issues. The guy is never hurt. He will play till he's 40 years old, and he'll make Gretzky look young. However, his goals per game will be less than Gretzky. He will get that record, but longevity of the game is a part of the game, right? And Gretzky had them all up front, and then his goal scoring started dropping, right?
So he's gonna do the Yager thing. He's gonna get his goals. He's gonna finish off the 2 seasons, unless for some reason he can't make the 40.
Go back home.
And he's gonna go back home and play in the KHL.
Yeah. Okay, so let's look at who they got there in their top 9 then. We got Ovechkin and you got Dubois. They need to bring him in.
Wilson and Oshie, who's getting a little on the older side, but he gets still
Dylan Strome and Nick Dow.
Yeah.
That's your. Unfortunately, they're not deep at center. They're still a center away.
Yeah.
You look at their winners.
Well, you got Connor
Tom
McMichael,
Wilson.
who could potentially fill in that top third line center.
So Manjapan, who'd you say?
Connor McMichael, who they drafted a few years back.
Yeah, potentially. But if they're going with Dubois, I can't see Dylan Strome's going to play second.
Yeah,
I can see that, and then put Nick Dowd on the fourth. That would make sense.
No.
Yeah, with it. But I mean, they're going to be weak after their top six. That's really the truth. Manjapani has to have an excellent year. He's got to have a return back year to really make something happen on there. But on the back end, if you think about, they got John Carlson, the guy's an ageless wonder. Matt Waugh, Jacob Chikrin, Rasmus Sandin, still got Trevor Van Riemsdyk and Ethan Bear back there on the back end to kind of
run February.
It's okay. Yeah, he's okay. I mean, I guess they got their top two defense lines. They got their top two forward lines, and the rest is will players develop this year? That's going to be more the question.
So we talked
but
about
Logan Thompson. I really like that with Charlie Lindgren in net.
Yeah, though that's a good back. They're going to split the time half and half, unless injury. It's going to be 40-40 or 41-41. That's how I see that.
Yeah, and Nicholas Backstrom doesn't look like he's coming back. So
no, I think he's done, but he's going to play out the rest of his contract to get paid. Evan, I want to talk about Chicago. Connor Bedard, second year in the league, and Kyle Davidson really wanted to make a push to give some more support. Last year they got Taylor Hall and Corey Perry and Nick Foligno. This year they pick up Ilya Mikheyev. They pick up Patrick Maroon. They pick up Craig Smith from Boston. They pick up Joey Anderson, and they pick up Tyler Bertuzzi. They really push themselves, not necessarily to be in a playoff position, Evan, but they're going to be competing and it'd be more hard to play against. Your thoughts on Chicago and year two of Connor Bedard and what to expect?
I didn't hear you mention Teravainen.
Timo Teravainen, we mentioned him earlier at the beginning of this show.
Okay, yeah. That was one of the ones that kind of shocked you, him going back? Yeah. So it is kind of interesting when you're looking at that, eh? And I'm excited about Frank Nazar this year his.
And Alex Martinez also 1 year show me deal.
Yeah, excellent. So Alex Vlasic last year did well. Connor Murphy, he's not. I don't know if he should have had the A. TJ Brody also signed there.
Yes.
So Kevin Korchinski is working his way in. So you know what? They finally went out and got a decent group, and like you said, and then they brought Laurent Brossoit in to be a backup for when Mrazek goes down instead of Kakinen. So I think that was right now they're doing what they need to. You got all these guys. When I'm kind of looking right now, when you look at all the contracts for these guys, I mean, essentially, you're not looking like next year. So you're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You got 6 for UFAs at the end of the year, right? So they're really just trying to build and make a competitive team and start developing some of those younger guys and some that are in the system, I think, now.
Now, Evan, I want to talk to you about two other teams because there's so many teams to talk about.
Okay, two teams, and then we better give it a call. Is Tampa Bay one of them?
No.
Okay, make it 3, and we're done.
Okay. What is Anaheim doing, and why did they not do anything? They literally feel like they didn't pick up anybody, and their pick was not the best, and they just – I don't know what's happening there with Pat Verbeek. I don't know if I, as a Anaheim Ducks fan, although their jerseys, their new ones look nice from Fanatics, I don't know if I'm excited about that team. You still have Alex Killorn. Trevor Zegras may or may not stay. Ryan Strome has that big contract. Robbie Fabry just got picked up. Today. Frank Vetrano. Leo Carlson, second year. Cutter Gauthier has a chance to prove himself. I think November is the first game he goes back to Philly. Mason McTavish, Cam Fowler, Radko Gudas, Brian Dumoulin. You still have the whole Gibson situation. Is he sticking around for this rebuild? But as I got to be honest, if you're a Ducks fan, I don't know if I'm excited for this season. I feel like they're going to be bottom 3 again. But your thoughts?
I almost wonder if they want to be bottom three for a couple of years. I do not understand where he's going. He is going so far off, even in his drafts. I mean, I hope Leo Carlson has a great career, but I still think that he totally went off the rails last year. As much as I know a lot of players liked him, that's just my opinion. But this year they did go off the rails. They went off somewhere else. If that I guess what I can say is in 2 years, this year and next year, and I think they're going to look at this team, and Verbeek will be gone unless he can do something starting in this offseason. So he's going to have, I don't mean this offseason. I think he's got 1 full year to play with still, and then they got to see those incremental.
Well, you got to sell tickets. You got to get butts and seats, exactly. Right? So
yeah, exactly.
It'll be interesting to see what takes place.
On the other side, for you Ducks fans,
I know
it's a long ride, and hopefully they can find a new place for Zegras for you.
Yeah, well, and Gibson too, if that's the thing, because Dostal looks like he's going to take over. But
there is still talk. I just can't see it, but there is still talk about Zegras going to Philly at some point in the trade.
In Philly, okay.
But I can't see them wanting another small guy, and I can't see Torts liking him.
Okay. Well, I want to get to, because I know these were big ones. I mean, we have so many teams to cover, and we still have a bit of time. San Jose, you picked Macklin Celebrini. He comes in. You signed Tyler Toffoli, which I think was very left field. I didn't see that coming out of anywhere. You pick up Alex Wenberg, and you sign him to 2 years at $5 million. A little pricey, but I understand he's going to be your second line center.
They have to hit
Barclay Goudreau off of waivers. Go ahead.
They have to hit cap, right? So
agreed. You still have some other pieces. Your back end, you only have 5 defensemen signed right now. And you may have to pick up somebody, and you only have 1 goalie right now, Mackenzie Blackwood. It's slowly looking bright for San Jose. I know there's still a lot, William Eklund coming out. Macklin Celebrini is going to have a good season. Will Smith is going to really take that step. Your thoughts on San Jose and what they can bring, because of course they'll be bottom again, but do you think they have a better chance to be more competitive than, like, say, the Ducks, their local neighbor?
I actually don't think they do. I think this is going to be a tough year again because of their defense and goaltending, and they're not deep enough on their forwards. So I definitely see the Chicago improving. I see the Ducks kind of sticking around. I actually don't see, by the way, Arizona, the now Utah Hockey Club. Call yourself a bloody name, and it'll be easier for me to remember you.
Utah
HC. I'm so disappointed. Don't tell me you didn't have enough time. You obviously never saw the Thrashers move to Winnipeg. And before you say, there was no team name, you could have figured it out. This was easy. You got 4 names. You could have got that out there ahead of time. That's ridiculous. Right. They could have had their name and just went with HC right now. Anyway, I think Arizona is going to be right where they are still next year because they don't have the scoring. No. But I definitely see San Jose in the bottom 3 again, minimum. I just can't see Will Smith and Macklin Celebrini don't have enough. And I think they brought Tyler Toffoli because they want just like they brought Hall and Foligno over with Bedard. They wanted a few players that could be that veteran presence, come in, teach them, give them something around it. And so, I don't see them doing a lot in the offseason. I could see them maybe picking up a player or 2 still that they could trade at the deadline, maybe for another team, just to get to the floor. I don't have their numbers in front of me for the floor, but they're gonna be tight. They're gonna be tight. All right. Man.
We're gonna finish off. We're almost at an hour, but I know we still want to talk Tampa Bay, but there's a few teams, just a few specific in players.
Well, let's hit Tampa then, so that I get to cover.
Jump in your Tampa. Go ahead.
Okay, guys. The biggest news and made a lot of Carolina fans unhappy and very hurt was Jake Getzel left. The rumor had come out from insiders all over that there was a deal out there for $8 million over 8 years and that they would give Jake Getzel. The answer is yes, they did. But here's the thing. They didn't go back. They did not expect to get the deal that they got out of Tampa. There was a reason that they wanted to go that's outside of hockey, not because of tax-free. Stay off of that little game right now. I'm sure that helped, but that wasn't it. It was more related As I mentioned, I had heard previously about wanting to stay in America. So not that he doesn't like Canada, but living in a place because of family. And I believe family related that they wanted to be in that area, plus be on the team that they felt he was really sought out after. That they actually moved some massive pieces in Sergachev and did not bring back their franchise. And now I think that was already discussed with him before they would make those moves. So hence that began the process. What I do want to mention, I am sitting here going, this is astonishing. Victor Hedberg, don't give me the cap thing. Don't give me the tax-free state. $8 million. He signed, that guy could have signed a $10 million deal with anybody. He chose to stick around instead of just riding out his last year and to continue for $8 million. That is, to me, the steal. I can go through the list. Maybe we'll start our season with that, a list. I am amazed. And you know what? I bow to Victor Hedman. He truly is a Norris Trophy winner in my eyes, because he is the best all-around defenseman. Tough, big, shut down, and can score. You can't get a better guy. He probably should be the highest paid in the league.
I think he may get captaincy next year, but I really think that the problem is that they could have made it work with both him and Stamkos. The problem is they value defense over offense. And it'll be interesting to see how he plays next year, because losing Sergachev was a big loss on the back end. And you need Vasilevsky to be super healthy, and you need scoring, right? And I know that you got rid of Tanner Jeannot and stuff, but 3
years, though. 3 years older, Stamkos was.
Yeah, 100%.
And he's not as tough as Jake Getzel.
100%. Or I understand it's a ruthless business. I feel bad, but it just goes to show you that the landscape is changing. Where what?
They'd never pay him $8 million.
No, they offered him the 3x8, the $3 million for 8 years.
Yeah, but he got 7x8.
He got 4x8. Wait, what are you talking? 4x8 for both Hedman and Stamkos. 4 years by $8 million, both of them. But Stamkos got it with Nashville. Evan.
No, that's fair.
Evan.
So, the other part on Jake Getzel, there were some rumors. Why did he not come back? Like an offer. He did not go back to the Hurricanes and even entertain the offer. Jake Getzel for the 9 million. Yeah. The Canes don't think that your owner wouldn't have matched. He would have matched. They wanted Getzel. He was a perfect fit. And that's also why I think that they gave up a lot and for a push this year, and they didn't come close. Yeah. That's the downside. I feel for Caniacs.
Now, I have 2 more teams to go through, and then we'll wrap it up for the end of season finale for the year. First off, I know Montreal's still rebuilding, but they signed Juraj Slafkovsky to that very nice, lucrative contract. Evan, what are your thoughts on Slafkovsky getting wrapped up for $7.6 million as of next season for 7 more years?
So I don't know, Pavel. What will you think I think of that contract?
Oh, you're not going to like it at all. You're going to hate it. You think it's an overpay.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. I will say the last half of his season, he played extremely well. Just like Brady Tkachuk, they took a chance with Brady. Brady had a growing curve, though, that actually looked good. And Slafkovsky, he had that this year, but his whole career hasn't trajected in the same direction. But he is a big player, just like Hakanemi, they thought was going to be this great player. I'm a little worried about it, but here's the thing. If he is what they think he is, this is going to be a wonderful deal for them. Yeah. But they better hope this year that he can live up to at least a 0.9 points per game. Because if you're paying for the first 2 years a guy that can't even get a point a game, and he was your first overall draft pick, those fans, you think they're rabid in Edmonton? Those fans are going to turn. They're sick of the rebuild. They're ready to make a move. But right now, this needs to be his year, so that the following year when Demidov comes over, they can just let him loose.
Well, it'll be interesting to see, because I think what people always expect now is to get the Leon Draisaitl effect with the deal, but they may get the Pierre-Luc Dubois deal, just so people understand that that's how it works.
I like it. I saw what you did there.
Right. Now, Final team, and we'll wrap up our thoughts. The LA Kings. You know, they're in a very tough division with the Oilers, Vancouver Canucks. You know, you've got Calgary, who's also a little bit more competitive. You know, Seattle trying to compete. Vegas, which I don't know what Vegas was doing, but it was interesting. Your thoughts on the LA Kings picking up Joel Edmondson, Warren Fogle, and I believe they got one other player. I have to take a look. Who was it that they Tanner Jeannot from Tampa Bay. Now, they also have to sign Quinton Byfield, who's an RFA. Your thoughts on LA? Have they improved? Have they not? They did get rid of that contract with PLD. They brought in Darcy Kemper, along with Phoenix Copley, who just re-signed, and David Riddick. Do you think the LA Kings
they also have to sign Arthur Kaliev, which is they're not sure what kind of player.
Yeah, they lost Matt Roy as well, right? So
I mean, if you look on their back end, right? I'm looking and saying, okay, you got Doughty, Grabakov, Mikey Anderson, Joel Edmondson, and there you go. Like, they really hurt their defense. And then looking up front, when you're looking at their guys.
Look at Sean Dursey, who they traded away. They had so many young prospects, right?
Yeah. They signed Trevor Lewis again. So I'm just looking. So you got Kevin Fiala, Ante Kopitar, Daniel, Kempe.
You just better hope Ryan Clark comes in and fills that top four void and really performs.
They got 5 players. You got 2 who are first line, and the other 3 are maybe a second, could be on the third, depending on how they're playing. And then they got 2, 3 third line guys, and the rest are fillers. So they're going to be I think they're going to be solid like the Utah on the lower end, but they just don't have the skill to score in the playoffs. And getting rid of Dubois is not going to have helped that. And then the only difference is they got rid of a long contract by bringing in Kemper, who's only got 2 years. But not sure that's what they needed to do right now when it looked like they were rebuilding. Rebuilding.
You get a full season of Jim Hiller behind the bench, so it'll be interesting to see what happens. Now, I know there's a bazillion teams to go through. Calgary we didn't get to, even though they had a good draft, I think. I think they were one of the better ones. There it is. Winnipeg, they made a few moves. Still have to decide on Ehlers. That team is kind of a little bit in limbo. Go ahead.
I wore this in honor of the Winnipeg Jets and their fans because I do feel for them. They were getting themselves loaded. We're ready to have. I thought they had a chance to take out the Avalanche in that first round. Should they have got, I thought they could make it to the Final Four at least. And the fans must have had their hearts ripped out of them, just making Howardchuk come from the grave. It was a tough one. And I really hope, I hate all these things about how cold it is, and it's winter, and it's Winnipeg, and there's no airport. And guys, leave them alone. Why do you have to brag on yourselves? Stop doing it. I feel bad for Winnipeg fans, but I hope they have a good season now in spite of.
Yeah. And, of course, Columbus. It'll be interesting to see what happens there with Don Waddell taking over the helm. There's going to be definitely some changes. Philadelphia looking to step in the right direction with Michkov coming over. I know Travis Konechny is looking for a new contract. Dallas and Colorado, what happens there? Minnesota, what can Bill Guerin really do against the cap? St. Louis didn't really do much. Lots to talk about, and we will be back come September to talk all things hockey. NHL, KHL, AHL, PWHL, juniors, whatever you want to talk about around the rink. Get ready for more guests. Get ready for more highlights, more banter, more me telling Evan he is wrong. For more fun and excitement, come with the new 2024-2025 season.
Woo! Excellent.
It's been a ring-a-ding dandy, Evan. It's been phenomenal. I have loved this season, season 5, 43 episodes down the drain. We're never going to think about it again. We're going to restart from the beginning.
Well, we are going to think about it because this off-season, guys, I'm updating our website, getting all the players, all the guests that came on the show. We want to give them honor and haven't got them up this year. We're going to be making a little bit of revamping around it. working on. If you are interested in writing, we need to build a team and get stuff out there for you guys. So we do apologize. We're looking for people who just want to have fun around writing. Share your takes. If you're a fan of one team, be a fan of one team. We're absolutely fine with that. If you just want to talk on junior hockey, if you want to talk on something in another league somewhere else or something particular, let us know. I will say we have 8 already for September, October, and November. We have 8 tentative and 3 already sealed guests on for those first 12 weeks. So we'll see how things go. We're going to be lining them up. It's getting harder to line up people 3-4 months ahead of time. It's kind of tough when I say sorry, but we got nothing available for you. We had to cancel people coming on. All of our guests this year, I want to say thank you. You made our show. I appreciate it so much from us. We're looking forward to hearing from so many more people. We've learned so much from all of you and from all of us here at Two Guys in Hockey Talk. To all of you, as we say every week, in the meantime and in between time,
keep your sticks on the ice. Stay safe.
See you September 4th.
I want to just bring up one final thing.
Oh, whatever. You just wrecked our ending.
I'm going to bring it up. The Stanley Cup Final in Edmonton brought in over $200 million in cash bonus for the city. That's how much revenue was generated just from the Oilers going to the final. But anyways, I digress. I look forward to another fast, long round.
He got his Homer piece in there so he could talk about it and messed up our ending. Guys, you have a great off season. We'll see you September 4th for season 6 of Two Guys in Hockey Talk.
Keep your sticks on the ice. Stay safe. We love you all.
Cheers.
Could that just put him over the edge?
I'm not too sure. I don't think they did well.
He's a bully.
I'm just so sick and tired. I'm hanging on a wire, a foot over the fire, and it's burning. I can feel it inside. Done with the same cliche. Done with the day after day. There's got to be a way. Now is the time to break the tie. I'll live, I'll die for what is wrong and what is right. I'll take the pain for all the ones without a name. To be invincible, we'll be invincible.
They still have a lot of holes to fill.
He didn't get fired. He didn't get fired. No, he didn't get fired. He never got his contract renewed.